Yo, let's talk about the optimal raw food diet. Let's talk about it quickly because there's a lot of different raw food diets. You know, people do it in all different ways, and there's the gourmet raw food diet, which is a lot of nuts and seeds and oils and kind of fancy cakes and pizzas and all these fancy things, dehydrated usually, and all that stuff. That's the gourmet raw. And there's the superfoods, you know, people eating different superfoods and making elixirs and shakes and blending in with green tea and putting green powders and all these kind of fancy things. And you know, there's a high-fat diet and there's a low-fat diet. You know what? What are we gonna do? What's the optimal raw food diet for humans? Well, firstly, obviously, it should be a raw food diet. All animals in nature eat raw food, so it makes sense. Raw food is better for us than cooked food. Cooking a food doesn't really improve its nutritional value. It degrades its nutritional value, degrades its integrity. So we want to keep it raw, that's for sure. And a lot of raw fooders actually do eat cooked items, pasteurized items, without even knowing it. Most nuts and stuff like that are pasteurized. And it's not about being perfect, as in feeling guilty if you eat something that's not ideal. It's just about striving for the ideal and doing what's best for ourselves to the degree that we want to do that. Alright, that being said, what is the optimal diet? And I'm just going to say it like it is. The optimal raw food diet is a low fat, high carb, vegan diet. Why is it? Well, if you look at nature, all animals are eating whole foods as they appear in nature. And if we are going to get our nutrition from nature, we would have to follow that example. And the only whole foods that are really appealing to us are fruits, tender leafy vegetables, nuts and seeds. Yeah? Some stalks, you know, the different like small variations, but mostly we're talking fruits. And fruits are mostly high in carbohydrates. If you look at a chimpanzee, if you look at a bonobo, which are very similar to us in anatomy and physiology, they're all eating a diet mostly of carbohydrates, sugar, in the form of fruit. So we want to get most our calories coming from fruit, sweet fruit. Fatty fruits and nuts and seeds, they're only really in season for part of the year, so we wouldn't be eating them on a consistent basis year round like some raw fooders are. Plus, there's a lot of indications that a high fat diet isn't really as good for us as a low fat diet. And bear in mind, when I'm saying low fat, I'm not really meaning low fat. It's more like right fat. It's the right amount of fat for our physiology, but compared of course to other diets and most people's diets, it's a low fat approach. Low protein too, but you know, we don't need that much protein actually. Most people consume way too much protein. So you know, looking at studies, World Health Organization says essentially that we don't need much more than 6 to 10% of our calories coming from protein, and that's pretty much what you get if you're just eating fruits, tender vegetables. You can't really go wrong as long as you're eating enough total calories. So what about powders, green powders and things like that, superfoods? Well, those foods are fragmented. They're fragmented. They're separated from their other associated nutrients. Like if you take, say, a green powder is usually made from a green juice that's dried. So there's no fiber in there. There's no water in there. You're just consuming certain nutrients without their associated other nutrients, and it's kind of playing with fire, as it were, because we don't really know exactly the ratios that we need certain nutrients in, etc. It's better to rely on whole foods, the way nature produced it. And same goes for juicing. You know, you're throwing away the fiber. Again, juicing isn't evil. It's not evil if you have a juice every now and then, you know, no big deal. But you don't want to walk around thinking that juicing is a health practice, because you're removing nutrients. That's never a good thing, you know. What about cacao, things like that? Well, they're stimulants. They stimulate the body, and they produce a kind of heightened state of excitement. Garlic also, but they are actually irritating the body. They are draining your reserves of energy, so you don't want to really do that. You don't want your food to leave you high, because after a high there's always a low. Just want to fuel your body the right food, and be high just off natural endorphins from living life, not artificially stimulate the high. Dehydrated food, again, they're not the devil, but they're dehydrated. They don't have their water content. Water is an important nutrient. We don't want to lose the water, so let's eat high water content fruits like they appear in nature. Let's not fragmentalize, is that a word? Let's not fragmentalize the food. Let's let the food have its integrity. Another problem with the high fat diet is that because fat is so dense in calories, that means you're going to eat less total food, right? If you're just eating avocados, you're only going to have, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 avocados in a day, and that's just going to provide you with so much minerals and vitamins, etc. If you're eating mangoes, because there's less calories per bite essentially with a mango, because it's more carbohydrate based. Carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram, whereas fat has 9 calories per gram. So you're going to eat more food when you're relying on carbohydrates for your energy. That means you're going to also consume way more calcium, way more magnesium, way more omega-3. You know, you're going to the total amount of nutrients that you're putting through your body is greater when you're eating more food. So that's a good thing. Not because more is better, but because we have a certain need, and that need needs to be met. And same thing with water and fiber. We need a certain amount, and if we're just eating this tiny amount, and especially if we're using oil, remember, oil is 100% fat and nothing else. There's no minerals, no vitamins, no fiber, no water, just fat. So that creates a imbalance, you know, that's not a balanced way to eat. So okay, let's conclude this video. What's the optimal raw food diet? Well, it would be a diet of whole foods. It needs to be fresh, it needs to be ripe, it needs to be raw, it needs to be organic. So we're talking about a fruit-based diet, basically. Fruit-based whole food diet. Just like the bonobos and the chimpanzees are eating, just like all the animals in nature are eating whole foods. In the same way, we should be eating whole foods too. And if we need to do lots of things to our food to be able to eat it, let's leave cooking out of the picture. Let's just talk about like food processing, blending, mixing, spicing, seasoning, all these things. If we need to do that to make it palatable, then we have to question that food as a valuable food for human beings in the first place, right? We want to eat food that's just naturally appealing to us in its natural state. Things like mangoes, bananas, papayas, all the different fruits, sweet fruits. They're just naturally appealing. They satisfy because we are frugivores, our physiology and our anatomy, and we thrive on a diet of fruits and vegetables, and we need carbohydrates to fuel each cell in our body. Our body actually prefers carbohydrates as a fuel over fat. So we want to keep getting carbs and as a fuel source, and just by doing that, as long as we're eating whole food sources like fruits, vegetables, we will get enough protein, we will get enough omega-3, we will get enough of all the different nutrients, calcium, magnesium, iron. There's more than enough in the fruit as long as you're eating enough total calories. So yeah, basically the best raw food diet is a high carb, low fat, raw vegan approach. 80-10-10 some people call it, where you get most of your calories from carbohydrates, and it's not really it's not really difficult to make it work. You don't have to calculate and weigh your food and think so much. No, just get an abundance of tropical fruits. Keep your, have a fruit stash in your house with lots of fresh fruit, and just allow it to ripen. And when you're hungry, just go for whatever appeals to you the most. Eat as much as you want, and that's enough. Next time you're hungry, you do the same. Next time you're hungry, you do the same. You just keep doing that. You can snack on vegetables throughout the day if you feel like it. You could have a dinner salad if you feel like that. No big deal. Keep it simple, keep it clean, keep it fresh, keep it raw, keep it organic, keep it ripe, all these different factors. And then you don't have to mess around with all those nuts and feel so heavy. Everyone knows that. You feel heavy after eating nuts. You don't want to start your day with like a flax cracker with avocado, with olives, smeared in oil, with spices. I mean, all that stuff, that's going to just bog you down, keep you down, and irritate your delicate intestinal walls with all that stimulants and the garlic and the chili and the pepper and all that. No, just keep it clean. Just eat fruit. Alright. That was cool. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, then you could give it a thumbs up. You could subscribe. I would appreciate that. And if you have any questions about doing a raw food diet, if you want to get started with a raw food diet, if you're struggling, any kind of thing like that, just post a comment down below and we'll see if I could help you out. Alrighty. Thanks for watching. Peace.